swing and a drive. Right field and deep. Back goes Aquino. It's got a chance. Gone. Get out the tape measure. Long gone.
Fly the W!
Cubs fans, it's time to fly the W with Dustin Rhodes and Paul Crawly Jean.
You're listening to the Fly the W podcast, part of the Blue Wire Network. Don't forget to listen. Don't forget to download. Don't forget to subscribe. Most important, review the podcast and follow us on all the socials. I'm at Mully and Haw on X.
And you can follow me at Crawly's Cub on X and Facebook and all those fun things right now. You could also follow me at Crawly's Clubhouse on Facebook and YouTube for those of you that are watching. And if you have any questions, you can email us at crawlysclubhouse@gmail.com.
Well, another great weekend at Wrigley Field, Crawly. The weather cooperated, Rizzo cooperated, and the Cubs ended up flying the W 2 times, and some weird injuries, some weird sicknesses, I guess. But you want to start with game one, or you want to give us a little refresh on how things were for you down there? Because I know you spent time watching it and listening to it. You didn't get to go, but did you hear from any of your people who were down on the ground, Crawly?
Oh, yeah. It seemed to me like it was like a lot of fun. It was a really enjoyable weekend for everybody. And, you know, this is kind of like we predicted it, right? The Cubs taking 2 out of 3. I didn't like how that middle game looked, and they did better than I thought. But, it was fun having Rizzo back. We talked about it on the last episode, how, losing Sandberg created such a void for Cub fans. To see Rizzo not just back, but like embracing everything Cubdom, to me was just a really special day. And I'm glad for all the people that got to really kind of be part of that. It was really something special.
Yeah, very, very cool. We'll get into a little more details as we recap this one. But let's start with game number 1. We've got the all-star Matthew Boyd versus Shane Baz. And let's walk everybody through that one again.
Yeah, bottom of the first, Matthew Boyd ran into some first inning trouble. He gives up a single, throws a wild pitch, issues a walk, and then former Cub Christopher Morel says, "Cubs did me dirty." He hits a laser to left. Rays lead 3-0. Now, Cubs begin their comeback in the second, bottom of the second. Nico with the leadoff single. Lieutenant Dan doubles. Cubs on the board 3-1. Willie Castro walks, runner at first and second, 2 outs. Michael Busch with the single. That puts the Cubs down 1 run. Innings still not over. Runners at first and third. Ian Happ singles. We got ourselves a tie ball game. Now, the Cubs not done yet. Nico draws a 1-out walk. Mo Baller, who was sitting in a hotel in Atlanta last week.
Mo
Baller gets into the starting lineup. He hits his first career triple to put the Cubs up 4-3. Dansby gets hit by a pitch. Willie Castro walks. Bases are loaded. And for Shane Baz, remember the Baz?
The Baz. I remember that Baz. I don't know about this Baz.
He's done after 2 1/3. Gives up 5 runs, 6 hits, 3 walks, 5 Ks, and hits a batter. Edwin Uceda comes into the game. Matt Shaw grounds into a force out, and another run scores. Cubs are up 5-3. Rays answer back in the 4th. Jake Mangum, who had a really nice weekend, led off with a single, and Boyd walked Everson Pereira. He got Richie Palacios to fly out for the first out. Runners at first and second. Boyd picks off Pereira with Busch sneaking in behind him. For Boyd, that was his 11th pickoff of the season. Wow. He already has the Cubs record for most pickoffs in Cubs history. Now he has the most for a major league pitcher since Clayton Kershaw in 2012, also 11. And Dustin, that was a huge play because the next batter, Nick Fortes, singled. And so Mangum scores. It's a 1-run game. Luckily, Ian Happ would homer in the bottom of the inning to make it 6-4. Mm-hmm. Dustin, I mean, do you wonder, like, is there a first base coach or is there someone that's in charge of their base running that's saying, hey, be careful. This guy has the best pickoff move in the league. Don't get caught leaning. Like, who's in charge of that?
I don't, you know what, honestly, Crawly, I don't care because it worked out for us. So
I I'm just saying, like,
Right.
okay, you know, like when
You
you
got
go
to be
into a game,
aware, right? You got to be aware. They do so much scouting, right? I'm not trying to laugh off your question. It's a good question.
right?
I just don't care because it's not the Cubs, right? But somebody's not paying attention, right? Somebody got caught napping. They might have, saw all the beer vendors. They might have saw a pretty girl. Well, whatever it was, somebody got caught napping, and that was what the price was.
For me, I'm just kind of, I would sit there and especially the first base coach, right? Because Michael Bush kind of snuck in on that one a little bit. But is somebody yelling back, 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 back? Like kind of like Jim DeShays does it a lot. Sometimes he'll scream something that just naturally he would have screamed in the dugout if he was in the dugout. Like nobody's job is to kind of watch what's happening in front. It just baffles my mind. Boyd finished the game giving up 4 runs on 5 hits in 5 innings. Not the greatest start again for Boyd. Dustin, how concerned are you that he just might be running out of gas?
Yeah, I would really consider skipping his next start, or maybe you're doing it as kind of like a bullpen type thing where, he just does like 2 or 3 innings just to keep the arm loose. Because again, he's way past what he's ever done ever, right? By a pretty large number, I believe too.
Well, I don't know about he's getting
I'm worried about guys tuckering out.
That for me, Boyd is a big concern, and I don't, luckily the Cubs bullpen's been locked in. Hodge, Pomerantz, Keller, and Kittredge combined to pitch 4 innings. And Dustin, they didn't allow a single base runner and struck out 5. That's impressive.
Mm-hmm. No, that's really impressive, right? Bullpen
To me, like
bullpen in this game was really good.
Yeah, it reminded me a lot of the 2 wins in Atlanta. It was like a team win, right? They scored 6 runs on 12 hits, only 1 home run. Cubs got contributions up and down the lineup. Bush, Happ, Ballesteros, Dansby, and Shaw. They all drove in runs. Tons of traffic, and the bullpen was dominant. That's what we like to see, and that's what we talked about, when they came out of Atlanta with the series win.
Yeah, absolutely. Really, really good point. Really good point there by you, Crawly, about just how that one played out. So, Boyd, what would you do? I mean, I said skip a start. Would you skip a start? What would be your recommendation?
I always thought that maybe the Cubs, like towards the end, should go to a 6-man rotation.
Okay, that's interesting because you got a Sod, right? Because you have a Sod who does pitch in Game 3 of the series in a relief role, but obviously he could start. And there's also, when we get to some injury news, there is a starter getting back to the rotation. So that's interesting. That's not a bad call.
Yeah. And see, what I don't get sometimes is, for me, I would definitely let some of these guys kind of go a little bit longer, like a lot of piggybacking, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so I would try to start to get some rest for some of these guys, but I feel like, you could go with a start, put somebody in, whether it's Soroka that we're going to talk about, or whether, Assad, and have them go back to back and eat 7 innings or something out of that. I would go that route.
Okay.
I just, I'm not sure if that's what they're going to do.
Well, it is a Tommy Hotovy week on the Mully and Haw show. So Tommy will either be on Wednesday or Thursday. So Wednesday, right? Wednesday's a weird one. We got like an 11 a.m. pregame, right? early game out in Pittsburgh. So I'm not sure if he's going to have time before that game as he's getting guys ready. So I don't have that confirmed exactly what time or what day rather he is going to join us, but that's definitely something that we will have to ask him. All right, let's move into game number 2, Crawly. That was the Anthony Rizzo celebration game. Really nice montage to start things off. You might have saw that floating around on social media if you weren't able to get out to the game or catch it on marquee. Wife and son and him out on the mound. Kind of a really crappy first pitch though, right? I mean, I was surprised that Rizzo's pitch was not that great. But anyway, it was a Colin Ray start, right? And the Rays countered with their all-star, correct?
Yeah, Drew Rasmussen and Rizzo retirement game, like you mentioned. No way the Cubs could lose this one, right? Wrong. Kind of the reverse of Friday. This time it's the Cubs who jumped out to an early 3-0 lead, and the Rays came from behind to win it. Bottom of the second, Dustin, Baller, Moises Ballesteros lines a homer to left, and it went off the hands of Anthony Rizzo. Think about that. What are the odds on the one day that Rizzo comes back after all these years and he's sitting in the bleachers for the first time ever, that a home run literally goes off his hand.
I mean, almost like a movie, right? Like almost like if you could fix it, like pro wrestling or something. I mean, it's absolutely amazing that happened. I mean, you couldn't have written a script.
No, and it's just that magic of Wrigley Field. It is what it is. Now, Rizzo, it went off his hands. He was able to get the ball and make sure that it got into the dugout because that was Ballesteros' first major league
career home run, right? But then he says, you could read his lips. Later, he said it in the broadcast. That's why I retired.
Yeah, and the cool thing too is Moises
classic
bat.
Yeah.
So
cool.
I think
very cool moment. Yeah.
Really cool moment, but scary play in the top of the third. Carson Williams hits a deep shot to right center, nearly a collision between PCA and Owen Casey. Now they've played together plenty in the minors, but Owen does come up with the ball, but he hits the brick wall pretty hard. Cassie would stay in the game, but would come out later. Bottom of the fourth, 2 outs. Nico Horner singles, steals second, and starter Drew Rasmussen's intentionally walks Moises Ballesteros to get to righty-righty matchup. But Dansby, he took that personally. He doubled to left, 2-run score, Cubs up 3-0. Now, top of the fifth, Bob Seymour up. He hits a ball that gets past PCA. He didn't play it really well. He was just too close to the wall, and it bounced and ricocheted back towards the infield. That was a leadoff triple, and PCA had a rough weekend, Dustin. I'm not going to sugarcoat it.
Yeah, he might need a day off again. That we might need to rethink about that, huh? Especially if Kyle Tucker comes back tomorrow on Tuesday.
If Tucker comes back, I'd be more open to it. But it was just, I mean, maybe just getting out of Chicago. Let's see how it goes.
Maybe night. Right. I mean, but something I think we can agree. Something's got to give. I mean, he if they're going to do something in Craig Tober, okay, he's got to get himself right. He doesn't need to be like pre-All-Star game, right? But he needs to get right.
I think as long as it doesn't affect him in the field, which has always been the case, Craig Counsell told him that as long as you don't carry your at-bats out to the field, you'll be fine. I'm more worried about what kind of offense gets produced by Kyle Tucker and Seiya Suzuki. Those guys that's who your big boppers are, right? Those are your guys that are paid.
Well, right. We have to hope that this, is it a break? Is it an illness? Is it the flu? Whatever's going on with Seiya Suzuki as we're talking through this series, Crawly, and just jump to it. I mean, he doesn't play, or he does not play in this series at all. Doesn't take an at bat. He is not scheduled to play tonight in Pittsburgh, but he is with the team. So something's up.
Yeah. So, I mean, to me, that more than PCAs, if the Cubs are going to go somewhere, it's going to be on the back end, Tucker and Seiya Suzuki. If not, then it's going to be pretty quick, I'm thinking. But as far as this game goes, once he had that triple, he scored on a Richie Palacios ground out. The Rays would add on in the sixth. Yandy Diaz singled, followed by Brandon Lowe. I'm not going in between. I don't know what. Double to right center. Diaz cut the lead. The Cubs lead to 3-2. Colin Ray gets Junior Caminero to ground out for the first out of the inning. Ray's day is done. Counsell goes with Drew Pomerantz. He gets Josh Lowe to fly out for the second out. But manager Kevin Cash brings in switch hitter Jake Mangum to pinch hit, and it pays off. His single ties the game at 3. Got dicey for Caleb Thielbar in the 7th. Runners at first and third, 1 out. He's able to get out of it without giving up a run. Bottom of the 7th, current first baseman Michael Busch hits a solo home run to put the Cubs back up 4-3. Didn't last long because the first batter, Porter Hodge, faces top of the 8th. Junior Caminero homers to tie it up. Not a cheapie on that one. For Caminero, that was his 43rd homer. Now, top of the 9th, Counsell goes with his best reliever this season, Brad Keller. First batter he faces, Nick Fortes, hits a home run to give the Rays a 5-4 lead. Unfortunately, that's how it would end, as the bullpen, which had been so solid, could not close it out this time for Keller. It was the first home run he had given up in 19 games. The Cubs had 4 runs on 6 hits, but were 1 for 8 with runners in scoring position, left 7 men on base. A deeply, just a frustrating game on an otherwise special day that we'll dive more into in segment 2.
Okay, we will go through it. So the series is now split. Anthony Rizzo's day is ruined. No, not really. He still had a really, really fun day. I am sure about that. And that 7th inning stretch was something, Crawly. But let's move into Sunday afternoon's ball game. Shota Imanaga, Adrian Hauser.
Yep, Imanaga and Hauser in the rubber game. In each of the first 2 games, the team that scored first ended up losing. Well, the Rays scored first and lost. Shota gives up back-to-back homers to the first two batters he faced.
Something's got to give with that. Something's got to give with that.
Yeah, Cubs are down 2-0 before they come to bat. We talked about it in the last episode. The home run ball has always been an issue, and it's just getting worse and worse. And when you hear the post game, I'm not hearing anything. It's all kind of very generic. Well, they talk to me in between innings. My fastball has to go higher. My splitter has to go lower. I know all these things. We all know all these things. He knows these things, but it's not getting done.
Mm-hmm.
Now the Cubs get back as Michael Busch hits a leadoff double and Mr. Clutch Nico Horner singles, and the Cubs trail 2-1. Top of the third, Shota gives up a leadoff single to Junior Caminero, gets the next 2 outs, but Nick Fortes doubles to put runners at second and third. Josh Lowe hits a bunt single. Shota overruns it. I think they initially called it an error, but then later changed it to a single, which is the right score. But I think that if you asked Shota, he would have told you he should have had it either way. Cubs are down 3-1. But Shota would go 5 innings, give up 3 runs on 7 hits, no walks, and 9 Ks, which is good. But those 2 home runs in the first is still not as dominant as you would like to see him look with a few weeks in the regular season.
Not at all. No.
And Dustin, I'm sitting there and when you're talking about Matthew Boyd, he's played the whole season. Shota had a while he was out, remember? Like a month and a half.
Right.
So I don't know. It ended Shota's streak of 7 straight quality starts. But bottom of the 6th, Cubs start to make their move with 1 out. Ian Happ homers into the basket to make it a 1-run game. The basket giveth, the basket taketh away. This time it giveth. Big play in the top of the 7th. 1 out. Javier Assad on the mound. Junior Caminero walks. Brandon Lau singles. Runners are at the corners. Only 1 out. Okay. Now, Jake Mangum is at the plate. He grounds one to Nico. It's a tough play. He gets it to Dansby, but the throw to first is nowhere near in time. A run scores, and it's a 4-2 game. But wait, Craig Counsell immediately hops out of the dugout and challenges. Call comes in from New York. It is overturned for slide interference. Slide interference. So the problem here, Dustin, is that according to the rule, the runner must make a bona fide slide into second when a double play is possible. Lau made no attempt to slide. He basically ran straight up. Dansby kind of had to throw around him, and they kind of like they didn't collide, but they kind of hugged each other to kind of brace each other. You know what I mean?
Right.
But it violated the rule. The run was ruled out, or the run was voided and taken off the board. Great job by Craig knowing the rules and the video guys, because that turned out to be a huge play in this game.
Huge play. Huge play. Yep. Good for them. Yep. Good for them.
The Cubs were trailing by 1 rather than 2. So Willie Castro leads off the bottom of the inning with a single. Reese McGuire pops up a bunt for the first out. Matt Shaw singles. 2 on, 1 out for Michael Busch, who strikes out. And then who else? Nico Horner. Nico doubles. Both runners score. He lets out a primal screen, and the Cubs take the lead for the first time in the game. And after a hiccup on Saturday, the bullpen was back to doing what it does best. Assad didn't give up a run in 2 1/3 innings of work. Caleb Thielbar pitched 2/3 of an inning and didn't allow a base runner. And Dustin, dare we say new closer Andrew Kittredge?
I think so. I think he's the guy that they've kind of decided on, especially when they've got to have it, right?
Right. He walked 1, but he struck out 3 in the 9th. Cubs win. Cubs take the series. Nico Horner was the hero, Dustin, for this one, going 2 for 4 with 3 RBIs and his usual Gold Glove defense. Not only that, he was 6 for 11 in this series with 3 RBI and a walk. Let's take a look at this stat right here, Dustin. These are your National League average leaders right now. Trey Turner, Philadelphia at 305. Nico Horner is second, 299. Then you got Freddie Freeman, 296. Sal Frelick, 295. Bryce Terang, 286. That's why the Brewers are where they are. They get on base. But when you're looking at this, I mean, Nico Horner's looking to get the batting title. I mean, he's right there.
Yeah, he's right there. We talked about that today. Isn't that pretty amazing? Pretty cool, right?
And then when you take a look at the NL leaders in batting average with runners in scoring position, Nico is in first place with a 362 average with runners in scoring position.
Yeah.
Bryce Terang, 351, and Trey Turner third at 343. Dustin, I was watching this series and I noticed right away when he had Council had Bush leading off and Nico Horner batting second. And I always like Nico Horner batting second. I just do. And I know what the sabermetrics say. You want to have your big boppers, your Kyle Tuckers, your Seiya Suzuki's batting second and third. Maybe it's just me. I just like what Nico offers in the 2 spot. I feel like he doesn't strike out a lot. I feel he sees pitches. I feel like, if you have a guy on, well, then he can maybe start, get 2 guys on before you're facing, before Tucker or Suzuki, or, he acts as like a second leadoff man. I just like him in that 2 spot. And I know, we're hoping Kyle Tucker comes back soon. We're hoping Seiya Suzuki comes back soon. I just hope all in all that Nico stays in the second, because I really kind of feel that that's in the best interest of the team, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's a good call. I like your thinking in there, Crawly. I like what you're saying there. Yep. What do you think about what do you think? I mean, do you like Kittredge in this high pressure situation?
I think Kittredge, he has experience and he can do the job. I'm not going to sit there and say no. Again, a lot of times I think it's going to look at matchups, but he's a guy that I'm very confident in that can get the job done. And so, Dustin, with that win, the Cubs' magic number to clinch a playoff spot is 4. And their magic number to clinch the top wild card spot is 10. And that top wild card spot is huge.
That's huge. But that, like the 10, explain that to people. Now we're taking into account, wins by the Cubs, right? Losses by the Padres, right? And then losses by the Mets still, or the Reds. Like who's in the mix here?
Right now, there's still plenty of teams that are in the mix, and we'll take a look at that in segment 2. But it's exciting that we're talking. I mean, I know Cub fans are disappointed that it's not the NL Central and we're just running out of time as far as that's concerned. But just the fact that we're talking about postseason baseball, that's exciting news.
All right, Crawly, you're listening to the Fly the W podcast. We are part of the Blue Wire Network, so we're happy to be with them. We're also happy that you are listening, downloading, reviewing, subscribing to the Fly the W podcast. 5-star reviews, we'll take them. Email Crawly and I at Crawly's Clubhouse, gmail.com. Crawly's with an S, Clubhouse, no S, at gmail.com. Don't forget you watch on Crawly's Clubhouse YouTube page. All right, Crawly, show them the standings. We just gave them a tease. Let's see the standings.
Yep. The Cubs and the Brewers are just neutral. They're 5-5 right there. And the Cubs are 5.5 back. They have 85 wins. Like, I mean, we're talking about 21 games over 500. And it still kind of feels like, it's just one of those years that the Brewers have had. The Reds are finding a bad time to go cold. They're 4-6 in their last 10, lost 3 in a row. The Cardinals are still around at 73-77, 4 games out of that final wild card spot. And then the Cubs' next opponent tonight, Pittsburgh Pirates, are bringing up the rear, 2-8 in their last 10. But this is what you were asking about earlier, and that is the wild card right there. And so if you're looking at it right now, the Cubs are 85-64. The Padres are starting to right the ship a little bit. They won 2 in a row, 6 of their last 10. And so they're 3 games behind the Cubs. So if the season ended today, it would be the Cubs, Padres, and Mets all in the playoffs. Now, the Cubs, if it ended today, would have home field for the wild card series. So it's a 3-game series. And so you would have to go nowhere. You would be nice and home. And so that has to be the ultimate goal for the Cubs here, right? There's no other way around it. Now, the Giants are 5-5, 2-game losing streak. They're right behind the Mets. And then you have the Diamondbacks are 2 games back, the Reds 2.5 games back. And then you have the Cardinals that are 4 games back. But every game for all these teams counts right now that's in there. Okay. And so when you take a look at the playoff odds, it has the Cubs and the Brewers both with a 100% chance of making the playoffs. 100%. Now, as far as winning the division, that's 98.7 to the Brewers. Cubs have a 1.3. We're not dead yet. But clinching a wild card bye, that's where you want to kind of take a look at that. Or as far as the wild card bye, clinching a bye. They're not going to have that. That's, again, the Brewers. And so winning a World Series, they got the Brewers at 10.3 and the Cubs at 3.4 per Fangraphs.
All right, so there we go with that. And now we've got to talk about the roster moves. Kind of a scary situation on Saturday between Owen Casey and PCA.
Yeah, you take a look and, you take a look at they originally, Owen Casey was recalled from AAA Iowa, and they optioned outfielder Kevin Alcantara to the Iowa Cubs. But there's a reason these guys stick around for a day or two after these moves are made. Like you said, Owen Casey, almost a collision with PCA. He does have a collision with the wall, and now he has a concussion. And so the move that comes after is Alcantara's back. He never left. Owen Casey is on the 7-day IL with the concussion. Dustin, I just don't know. I hope he's healthy and gets a chance to kind of get back in here. It frustrates me that we never truly got a chance to see what this kid can do at a major league level.
Right. Totally agree about that. So we'll see if he can get back up here. An unfortunate situation there. So that's injury number one. Then Daniel Palencia, any new news on him?
Yeah, when you talk about Palencia, you're looking at a right shoulder strain. He's playing catch, and now it looks like he's going to throw off a mound today in Pittsburgh. So they're going to be watching him, see how he does off the mound. We talked a little bit about Seiya Suzuki. I don't know what the mystery illness is, Dustin, but he's out of the lineup. Third game on the sidelines due to illness.
Yeah, illness. Maybe PCA will get an illness.
Right. The Cubs are hopeful he can be available at some time during the Pittsburgh series. Yet to be known here.
Miguel Amaya, are we going to see him or no? I think he's done.
Still not 100%. That's about as close as we can get. And they're hoping that he gets into rehab games with the AAA Iowa Cubs in the upcoming week. So that's the goal. Whether that happens or not, I don't know. And sometimes, Dustin, you get to a point where there's no more time left
time is running out, right?
Right.
So are the days of our lives.
These guys, though, right now, a lot of them aren't 100%. You know what I mean?
Nobody's 100% right now, right?
And so at this point, we're waiting for Kyle Tucker.
That could be tomorrow. That could be Tuesday.
Yeah. Hopefully Tuesday, but Craig Counsell said it's unlikely. So probably not on Tuesday. Maybe Wednesday.
Baseball, Crawly.
Maybe Wednesday. But obviously,
the game might be too early on Wednesday. He doesn't do 11 a.m. starts.
Yeah. And so now we got to take a look at Michael Soroka is back. Ben Brown is down to Iowa.
That's a weird one to me. That's a weird one to me, right? I mean, I really liked the use of Brown the other day in the 9th inning in a non-massive leverage situation to see what he could do in that spot. I mean, I just don't. I mean, is this like the general manager needs to be right about going out and getting Michael Soroka? I just don't get this one.
Yeah, I know
Michael Soroka, unless Ben Brown's going to throw very limited pitches down in the minors, and they're looking again to get him, ramped up for the playoffs. But I just think we'd be smarter to get that stuff done at the big league level.
I think, for me personally, we all know how this goes. This is the game of options, right? And Ben Brown has options.
Yep.
And so me, honestly, when I knew Soroka was coming back this series, I thought I was kind of done with the Taylor Rogers experience.
That happened? I don't even remember that one, Crawly.
That's where I thought I would have gone. Now, again, he doesn't have options. So Ben Brown kind of gets, he's been thrown a lot this year. And so I guess it's not the worst thing in the world. We'll see.
I mean, you want Ben Brown on the playoff roster, Crawly? There's going to be a playoff roster. You want Ben Brown part of that? I mean, or you want Michael Soroka? I mean, I want Ben Brown. I want a guy who's got some swing and miss stuff.
So I haven't seen what Michael Soroka can do.
All right, well, let's see. Yeah, he didn't. Again, I'm not like Joe pitching lab guy. I'm not trying to claim I am. The Cubs are putting him back at the big league level. What I saw, again, there's more than what I just saw at Wrigley for about 15 minutes, right? But wasn't super hot what I saw.
All right, well, let's see what he does. And then, Ben is so streaky lately. That's not a good thing in the playoffs. You don't have time to be streaky. So I'm not positive. I I don't know. And so that's why I want to see what Soroka can do. Now, if he's hot garbage, then, let's get Ben Brown back up here. I mean, I'm fine with that, but
Okay.
we'll see what happens. But some news today, Dustin, and I don't know if the Cubs just haven't mentioned this a lot. I was surprised here. Kyle Tucker is the NL Central nominee for the Cubs for the 2025.
Well, I just saw it on Twitter today. I mean, today was the first day I saw anything about it.
So I was like, okay, well, what is Kyle Tucker doing? And I'm taking a look here, and it sounds pretty interesting. In 2022, he founded the Kyle Tucker Foundation, builds a legacy of compassion, honoring the unsung heroes of hospice care. So, Dustin, I mean, there's so much. We talked about Rizzo and what he did for Lurie's Hospital. And when he came out this weekend, he was wearing a jersey with all the
how about that? How
all
powerful.
The people from Lurie's, and that's going to be auctioned off. But I mean, I think the Cubs could do a better job of letting people know what these guys are doing and getting to know these players a little bit more. You know what I mean?
Yeah, sometimes I don't disagree with you. The only pushback I give is sometimes these guys don't want it out there so that it doesn't look like that they're doing it for all the wrong reasons. Right.
Right. But if you've started a foundation, right. And
well, honestly, you're looking to get contributions, right?
You get contributions and stuff like that. Yeah. And make people aware. I mean, there's a cause.
Yeah, I think it's a slippery slope. I just think it's, I'm not Joe PR. I don't know what the right or the wrong is. That's just what I'm trying to assume. The people that look into it, find it, know, and okay, I'll get involved. I think it's just a little bit tricky. That's all.
For anybody that's ever had anybody in hospice, that has to do with end of life care, those people do amazing things. And I have a friend of mine who's a hospice care worker, and I'm Crawly Cub fan, and I had no clue Kyle Tucker had anything to do with hospice workers. Nothing.
Yeah.
So I guess if you're trying to raise money and if you're trying to raise awareness for the great things that these hospice care workers do, I'm not saying you got to do it every day, but every now and then it'd be nice to know that these guys are doing something outside of baseball and getting to know who these players are a little bit more. There's some interesting players, and I would love to know from Kyle Tucker, what got you into that? Why did you decide to base your foundation on that? Is there some story behind it? I find it interesting personally.
Yep. Good point. Odd transition, but Dan Kantrovich getting interest from the Orioles, but he'd rather stick around here, likes where he's at as far as his position with the Cubs, correct? That's what I saw?
Correct. And that's Bruce Levine was the one that broke that, Bruce. And, Dan is the guy that really is in charge of the draft for the Cubs. And every year his name comes up for a position, every year. And he's been on our podcast numerous times, Dan Kantrovich. I love him. He's a great guy. And so hopefully, as long as he's happy, I'm happy that he's here.
Yeah. Absolutely. Anthony Rizzo, retirement game. Any more nuggets you want to add from that one, or we kind of covered it?
So, I mean, I'm just really excited that, Rizzo got to come back, and it looked amazing. My friend Sam Bernero was out there and captured tons of pictures of Rizzo coming in. And they have this room. It's for season ticket holders that kind of go into different events and stuff like that there. But they had the trophy out there with this backdrop for Rizzo. And I don't know if you saw that Rizzo put his son in the middle of the World Series trophy.
I did not see that.
That was cool, an awesome picture. Yeah. He did his press conference, his retirement. And like I said, just seeing that smile, I think lit up Cubs fans. If you're watching on Crawly's Clubhouse on the YouTube page.
Yeah, he handled it well. I mean, he's smooth, handled it like a pro, did a really nice job.
Another thing, Dustin, that sticks in my head is I was at his last game in 2021. It was that day before the trade deadline, and Bryant and Rizzo, neither were. Javi was, and we know what was the first one traded, then Baez, and Bryant was the last one the next day, right before the deadline. But I remember the pictures of Rizzo and his family walking around Wrigley Field, walking around the Ivy, and they kind of did the same thing on Saturday, but in much happier circumstances. Great to see the family out there. You mentioned the first pitch, and it wasn't the greatest. He threw it to Ian Happ, his good friend and former.
Right, that's cool. They were locker mates, right, side by side, right?
Side by side, and not only that, Ian Happ played Rizzo's walk-up song, Intoxicated, when he came up to bat, which was a really cool moment. And then he's out in the bleachers, right? And he saved about 100 seats for him and his crew. Take a look at this that my friend sent me. This round's a Rizzo special. Thanks for all your support over the years. Enjoy a cold beer on me, Anthony Rizzo.
Very cool.
Yep. So very cool for a lot of the bleacher.
They were going to let the beer snake happen again, right? They were allowing that because he wanted to.
Yeah,
do that.
Here's the home run. It bounced off Rizzo. This guy catches it right over here. These are my buddies right over here watching. It was unbelievable. And yes, he did start a cup snake, which he said he wanted to do. Dustin, the 7th inning stretch. Eddie Vedder, Cindy Crawford, and Anthony Rizzo from the bleachers.
Right. And that was supposedly Cindy Crawford's first ever Cub game.
Wow.
Even though she grew up here, here, DeKalb, she grew up in DeKalb, was probably in New York modeling at age 16 or something like that. And Eddie Vedder let out a nice F-bomb on Marquee. That was pretty classic.
Well, here's the thing you got to know. If Eddie's had a few drinks, which again, I think him and Rizzo greatly contributed to that cup snake, you can't put a mic in front of it. That's a risky move.
And they kept pushing it. They kept pushing it. They obviously asked one too many questions. It wasn't like the first question, got salty. They kept going. They pushed, they pried, they pushed, they pried. And that's what happens. All right, Crawly, let us get into the Cubs and the Pirates. They're getting together out in Pittsburgh, and you're listening to the Fly the W podcast. We're happy to be part of the Blue Wire Network. Don't forget to listen, download, review, subscribe. 5-star reviews, that's fine. Crawly's Clubhouse, gmail.com. That's how you reach us. All right, so it's been a little bit since the Pirates and the Cubs have played, but at this point in the year, they know each other pretty well.
Yeah, when you're looking at this season, they've played 3 times already, and no matter what happens this week, the Cubs have already taken the season series. They took 2 out of 3 in April in Pittsburgh, 3 out of 4 at Wrigley in June, and 2 out of 3 in Wrigley in August. The Pirates fired manager Derek Shelton in May. I think he's the first manager to be fired. His bench coach, Don Kelly, has managed them ever since. And since Shelton's been fired, they've been about a 500 team. The Pirates shocked the baseball world at the beginning of September, sweeping the Dodgers, but it's been all downhill since then. They got swept by the Brewers, swept by the Orioles, and just lost 2 of 3 from the Nationals this weekend. The Pirates are last in the NL Central, 20 games under 500, 26 behind the Brewers, and 12 out of a wild card spot. They are 2-8 in their last 10. They are 42, though, and 33 at home. Not bad, 9 above, but a miserable 23 and 52 on the road. So unfortunately for the Cubs, they're having to play there where they're a pretty good team. But the Pirates are 37 and 52 against teams with a winning record.
All right, let's do a little tail of the tape.
When you take a look here, we're looking at the last 3 weeks, August 25th to September 15th. When it comes to batting average, the Cubs are 21st, 242. That's better than the Pirates, who are 28th with a 217 average. Slug, the Cubs are 14th in baseball with a 417 slug percentage, while the Pirates are 366, which puts them at 30th in baseball. Runners in scoring position, the Cubs are 16th at 257, while the Pirates are 29th at 210. So, Dustin, when you take a look at this Pirates offense, they're 28th or worst in almost every category. Now, here's why they can still win games. They're starting pitching in this last 3 weeks. They have an ERA of 2.84, which is 3rd best in all baseball, while the Cubs are at 4.84. That's 19th in baseball. Reliever whip, though, the Cubs 2nd in baseball, 1.12, while the Pirates are 144, 19th. And fielding defensive run saves, you have the Cubs 2nd with 74. Pirates, not bad. 33 defensive runs saved at 11.
All right, so that is our tail of the tape. Let's get into the pitching matchups. Again, we talked about it. Jamison Tyone, Braxton Ashcraft. This is a little change. They are going to be your game 1 probables. Let's get into JMO.
Yeah, JMO's 9-6 with a 4.15 ERA and 20 starts with 83 strikeouts and 110 and 2/3 innings pitch. This is JMO's 2nd start since coming off the IL for a 2nd time. On August 19th, he gave up 1 run in 6 innings against the Brewers. August 24th, he gave up 1 run in 5 innings against the Angels. Came out of that game early with the groin tightness that put him on the IL. And in his first start since coming off the IL in Atlanta, he gave up 2 runs in 4 1/3 innings, gave up 2 hits, 2 walks, and 2 Ks. Dustin, I felt he was a little bit rusty. Hopefully today's a little bit better. JMO's 3-2 at the 4.25 ERA and 6 starts against the Pirates, the team that drafted him. Brian Reynolds, he's going to have to look out for him. 9 for 26 against JMO. And then you got O'Neal Cruz, though, is 0 for 13, and Andrew McCutchen 3 for 12.
All right, very good, Crawly. How about for the Pirates against the Cubs tonight?
Braxton Ashcraft is a 25-year-old right-handed rookie who's 4-2 with a 2.47 ERA in 23 games. 6 of them starts with 56 strikeouts and 58 1/3 innings. He was called up on May 26 and was used primarily from the bullpen until August 9th when he joined the rotation. As a starter, he doesn't pitch very deep into games. On August 28th, he pitched 5 2/3 innings and gave up 1 run against the Cardinals. On September 3rd, he pitched 3 scoreless innings against the Dodgers. And his last start, he gave up 1 run and 3 innings of work against the Orioles. Now, the Cubs saw Ashcraft for the first time on June 14th when he came out of the bullpen and pitched 2 scoreless innings. The next time they saw him was on August 15th in Pittsburgh. He pitched 5 innings and gave up only 1 run on 3 hits. No one in the Cubs has more than 3 at-bats against him, but PCA is 2 for 2 against him with a double. So maybe this is the night that PCA breaks out.
Maybe this is the night. All right, game number 2 is the marquee pitching matchup. We've seen it at Wrigley already, Skeens and Horton.
Yeah, and for whatever reason, they pushed this game back till Tuesday. I have no idea why. Either way, this is the one you don't want to miss, right? Where you have 2 of the best young pitchers in the game. When we talk about Cade Horton, we talked about this statistic right here, where lowest ERA since the All-Star break, minimum 10 starts. He's right behind Jake Arrieta for the best ever. Jake had 0.75 after the All-Star game in 2015. Cade Horton 0.84. So just unbelievable what the kid has been able to do. He's 10-4 with a 2.70 ERA in 21 games, 20 starts, 89 strikeouts in 110 innings pitched. On August 29th versus the Rockies, he gave up 2 runs in 5 innings. On September 3rd against the Braves at Wrigley, he pitched 5 no-hits innings. And in his last start against the Braves, this time in Atlanta, he gave up 1 run in 6 1/3 innings. Cade faced the Pirates once this year on June 13th. And none of the Pirates have more than 3 at-bats. So there's not a lot of experience there.
How about Skeens against the Cubs?
Ooh, Dustin, I mean, right now, Paul Skeens is, you could argue, probably one of the best pitchers in baseball right now. I mean, I'm just looking at this and I am just stunned. He has a 1.94 career ERA. That's the lowest in a pitcher's first 53 career starts during the live ball era since 1920. The next lowest, Vita Blue with 2.07. So, I mean, that just kind of shows you this is history stuff that we see going out here, right? Right now he's got an ERA of 1.92, but his record is only 10-9. The Pirates give him very little run support. Here's another one for you from Ryan Spada right here. He's 21-12. He has a 21-12 record in 53 career starts. In his wins, which are 21, he has 0.91 ERA. In his not wins, he had 32 games, 2.66 ERA. If the Pirates had given him 3 runs of support, 3 runs, Dustin, in each of his 53 starts, he would be 33-5.
Wow.
If he had 4 runs of run support every game, he'd be 36-1.
No, that's pretty scary. That's pretty scary stuff, Crawly. How about the Cubs, like Michael Busch, PCA? What have they done against him?
Yeah, when you look at what he does, this is a team right now that Skeens is 2-1 lifetime against the Cubs in 6 starts with a 2.40 ERA. They faced him twice this season. On May 1st, the Cubs scored 3 runs on 5 hits against him and drew 4 walks. But on June 13th, Skeens pitched 5 scoreless innings against the Cubs. They aren't great, obviously. Michael Busch, 2 for 12, PCA 2 for 10, Ian Happ is 3 for 12, Seiya 3 for 13, Nico 2 for 9. The trouble is that Skeens stuff is filthy. If you go to Baseball Savant, it'll show you right here. The red is good, Dustin. Red indicates good. This is the red on Paul Skeens. Every single statistical factor about what Paul Skeens has. He throws a 4-seamer, a sinker, a split finger, a changeup, a sinker, a slider, a curveball. They're all plus pitches. He doesn't have a bad pitch. And so he can get you out. He doesn't walk anybody. He strikes a lot of people. He gets a lot of chase. His fastball velo is phenomenal. His run value on everything is great. It's going to be a tough task. Now, if there's anyone I would want, I think for me to have this Cade Horton versus Paul Skeens start right before the postseason, it's a good test for Cade Horton, and I want to see what he does.
It's a great test, no doubt about that. All right, so the third game, this is going to be one of the guys we talked about in the first series. We got the All-Star Matthew Boyd.
Yeah, Matthew Boyd versus Johan Oviedo. Boyd is 13-8 with a 3.05 ERA and 29 starts with 146 strikeouts in 173rd innings. We talked about if Boyd's running out of gas, he's pitched many more innings than he has since 2019, talking about 6 years ago. The last time Boyd did not give up a run in a start, Dustin, August 2nd against Baltimore. Since then, he's given up 3 runs, 2 runs, 4 runs, 5 runs, 4 runs, 2 runs, and 4 runs in 7 starts. August 34th, first in Colorado, he gave up 4 runs in 6 innings. On September 6th against the Nationals, he gave up 2 runs in 7 innings. And in his last start against the Rays, he gave up 4 runs in 5 innings. Boyd is 1-3 with a 5.70 ERA and 7 starts against the Pirates in his career. Even worse, Dustin, I dug a little deeper. He's 0-2 with a 9.35 ERA at PNC Park in 4 starts. Andrew McCutchen, who always hits the Cubs well, hits Boyd well. He's 4 for 12 against him with 2 home runs. Brian Reynolds 2 for 10, and O'Neill Cruz, though, is 1 for 7.
All right, very good. And for the Pirates against the Cubs, any
You
familiarity?
got Johan Oviedo. He went on the 60-day IL with a right elbow right before spring training started. He made his season debut on August 4th. He made 1 start and was optioned to the minors the next day. Pirates called him back on August 20. He's been the rotation ever since. He's looked good since being called back up. He just doesn't work very deep in games. On August 30, he gave up 2 runs in 5 innings of work. And then when you take a look there, that was against the Red Sox. On September 5th, he pitched 5 scoreless innings against the Brewers. And in his last start on Thursday, he gave up 2 runs in 5 2/3 innings against the Orioles. That was his longest outing of the season. Oviedo's 2 for 4 with a 3.67 ERA in 10 games. 9 of those starts against the Cubs in his career. Ian Happ and Nico hit Oviedo well. Ian's 8 for 18 with 2 doubles and 2 triples against him. Plus, very much like Andrew McCutchen hits well at Wrigley. For whatever reason, Ian always hits well against the Pirates, whether it's at Wrigley or PNC. Nico is 7 for 12 against Oviedo. Dansby and Seiya do not hit him well. Dansby's 1 for 8. Nico's 1 for 9 against Oviedo. Oviedo features a 4-seamer, a slider, a curveball, and a sinker.
All right, very good, Crawly. Hot and not time. We know that Nico Hoerner has got to be on that hot list.
He is really heating up.
If we take a look, Nico is heating up, and so is Mo Baller.
Mo Baller.
Moises Ballesteros, 5 for his last 10 with a triple, a home run, and 2 RBIs, slashing 500, 583, 100, 1,000, slugging 1,000. But Dustin, Cubs aren't facing any lefties, so we might see a lot of Mo Baller.
Yeah, I'd love that to be the case.
Nico Hoerner, 11 for 23 with 3 doubles, a triple, and 3 RBIs, slashing 478, 526, 96. And how about Ian Happ? 8 for his last 24 with 2 doubles, 2 home runs, 3 RBIs, slashing 333, 429, 667.
And with a knot, we know PCA's on that.
Yeah, Matt Shaw is 2 for his last 17, slashing 118, 158, 118. PCA is even worse than that. 1 for his last 21, slashing .048, .192, .048.
All right, what do we got to worry about with the Pirates? Who's hot, who's not for the Buccos?
When you're taking a look at the Buccos, look out for Spencer Horowitz. He's the hottest, and it's not very hot. 5 for his last 17, does have 2 home runs and 3 RBIs. So 294, 400, 706. So you get a lot of power from Spencer Horowitz. You don't get a lot of power from pretty much anybody else on this team, and nobody else is really kind of, as far as hitting for average, there's nobody that's hitting for average. There's a lot of cold guys in there. Andrew McCutchen's 3 for his last 17. You're taking a look at Brian Reynolds. How about this? 3 for his last 25, slashing 120, 185, 120. Tommy Pham, 1 for his last 16. Their catcher, Henry Davis, is 0 for his last 13. and their shortstop, Cam Devaney's 0 for his last 14. So this is a team, Dustin, that is struggling to hit the ball. They're starting pitching as well. But when you talk about bullpen, I mean, if you can get into their bullpen, which, seems like it's going to be an easy task with 2 of the 3 starters you're going to face, I think you can get to them.
Beautiful. All right. Prediction time, buddy.
I'm going to go with the Cubs taking 2 of 3, game 1 and game 3. I don't know if they can take down Paul Skeens, but what I just want to see in that one is I want to see Cade Horton go toe for toe. I want to see if the Cubs do lose, which I don't want them to lose. I want it to be like a 2-1 games where Horton is going toe to toe with Skeens.
Very good. I'm also going 2 out of 3. I think they're just kind of in that mode at the moment where they're just looking to take series. Hopefully we'll get a couple of guys back healthy. Hopefully PCA can get back on a roll. Maybe we see Seiya Suzuki. So great job, Crawly. Don't forget, everybody, to download, review, subscribe to the podcast, and we'll get back to you ahead of a big series, right? The Cubs stay on the road. They're going to take on Cincinnati, kind of try to end their playoff hopes.
Absolutely. And thanks for everybody that joined us. Karina said she's not embellishing. She called the Anthony Rizzo home run on Saturday. Steve Schur from Arizona asks how we're doing. And we're excited because Steve got his plane tickets for the wild card series. Let's pray to God that the Cubs end up with that wild card. Either way, it starts in Pittsburgh. Dustin, we are no longer in a marathon. We are in a sprint to the last 2 weeks of the season. All we can say is, go Cubs!
It's all over.